So moving on to Deputation A, Amrita Kumar Radha, the project lead for Diversity and Inclusion Charter Appeal, and Varsha Nayak, Chair, Regional Diversity Roundtable, and they're here with respect to the city's endorsement of the Diversity and Inclusion Charter Appeal. Good morning. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, ma'am, and good morning, everybody. We are absolutely delighted to be given the opportunity to bring the Diversity and Inclusion Charter of Peel for your consideration, and we ask for some time to help you go through some of the key points around how we have arrived at the charter and what the charter hopes to do for the City of Mississauga and for the region of Peel. And as you already know, I am the chair of the Regional Diversity Roundtable, but I also wear many other hats, and one of that is being at the Peel District School Board and working on issues of diversity, equity, and community engagement and involvement. And with me is...
my name is Amrita Kumaratha, and I'm the project lead for the second phase of the Diversity and Inclusion Charter of Peel initiative at the Regional Diversity Roundtable.
And to give you a brief introduction to what Regional Diversity Roundtable is, it is a network that was brought together in 2005 by not-for-profit and public sector organizations that had recognized the need to have designated staff that would look after the portfolios of diversity, equity, and inclusion within their organizations, to come together at one table to further the work around inclusion and equity, both within their individual organizations and also within the community. And we are interested in progressing equity and inclusion within the region of Peel that allows for equal and equitable access to services and to life opportunities to every resident in the region of Peel, but primarily today in the city of Mississauga.
So in that context, the Diversity and Inclusion Charter of Peel was first developed in partnership with the Regional Diversity Roundtable as well as the Peel Newcomer Strategy Group. It was launched formally to the community in April of 2013 in Mississauga, actually, where we had approximately 150 individuals and organizations, both big and small, across both Brampton, Caledon, and Mississauga appear at the formal launch. The document is a document that lists 12 commitments to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and it was collaboratively created by individuals in small businesses, in the public sector, and in the not-for-profit sector across the region.
And just to give you a little bit of context, at the launch, the City of Mississauga and the councillors were all invited. I think there was something that was clashing at the day that you could not be there in person to endorse it.
So one of the things that makes this particular charter interesting and the first initiative of its kind in the region is because the region of Peel, as you may all know, is a very interesting region because it's one of the most diverse, fastest growing, and rapidly changing regions in the country, which of course presents many opportunities and challenges. We've got about 56% of the region identifies as visible minorities. We have more than 90 languages spoken at home. At the same time, we have a very high youth unemployment rate. We have many seniors who live in poverty as well. So there's a lot of opportunities and challenges that come with being a fast-growing and large municipality that we are.
And in Mississauga, having the airport in our jurisdiction, I think also allows for the growth to continue, also the economy to continue to be spurring forward.
And I think the City of Mississauga has already recognized this with its development of a Diversity and Inclusion Advisory Committee, that, you know, you've started to take leadership on this issue already within the city.
And that comes from the recommendation from Regional Diversity Roundtable to the Mississauga Summit a few years ago. So I think we have worked in partnership and in many informal capacities over the years.
So, what is the vision of the Diversity and Inclusion Charter? As you see on this slide here, the vision, which has been collectively identified, is to create an inclusive Peel region that values, respects, and embraces diversity and equity so that everybody in the region can achieve their full potential. So that being said, there are 12 commitments, as I mentioned before, and they fall under 3 broad themes or categories, if you will. The first is creating equitable and inclusive workplaces. So that's really about institutionalizing diversity, equity, and inclusion within our work structures and systems. The second is ensuring the provision of equitable and inclusive community services. So that's really about all the community services that we provide as a region and as a city. And then the third is recognizing and supporting diverse neighborhoods and communities. So really taking a look at the diversity that we have all around us every day and recognizing that and letting it thrive.
And I am a proud resident and an engaged citizen of the City of Mississauga, and very proud to be. The charter so far has had many endorsements, many organizations that have come on board, but we wanted to bring a few to your attention. And the reason for that is to say that we can only, if we all collectively work towards the same objective and outcome of creating an inclusive community and society, can we all truly thrive. And the Peel Police, the 2 school boards, the Peel District School Board and the Dufferin Catholic District School Board, the Peel Newcomer Strategy, the Region of Peel, India Community Services are just a few to name that have already endorsed the charter.
Yeah, some of the key stakeholders, as you can see in this slide, of the city and of the region are active RDR members and charter endorsers. So some of the key ones listed here are Mississauga Fire and Emergency Services, which is a very, very active RDR member, and we're working with them to endorse the charter. You have United Way, which works regionally but is centered in Mississauga. You have the Peel Children's Aid Society, again, working generally within the region of Peel, but also centered in Mississauga. And the Peel District School Board, which is also centered in Mississauga. So all this is to say that Mississauga is a leader in all of this. And so you have many of our existing members and endorsers that are working from Mississauga, which I think is quite significant.
Absolutely. And the charter was developed with a concept of working towards inclusion together. And community has, throughout the process, remained involved, engaged, and participated fully in creating the commitments. So it is a collective effort. It is not a one individual organization or a one individual institution's efforts to further diversity equity. That was how the phase 1 was structured, creating a concept, identifying key diversity champions within the community, looking at engaging input from residents and from business and from not-for-profit sectors to create language that was inclusive and applicable to all sectors of our society, defining and getting an approval process of those charter commitments, and then creating and launching the charter and moving forward on the implementation stage. The phase 2 is about implementation.
Yeah, so really what this slide is attempting to demonstrate is that both in phase 1 and phase 2, we've had a very multi-stakeholder process. There's been a lot of different organizations and individuals involved in creating the product and the process that we have now. So there have been a few differences, of course, that they're laid out in the slide, but generally speaking, the point of this slide is to show that we're all collectively moving forward in the same direction to move the work on diversity, equity, and inclusion forward. So in the second phase, we have a steering committee that's made up of 5 large and small organizations, and that represents various sectors in the region. So we have the Peel District School Board, the William Osler Health System, the Peel Multicultural Council, the Credit River Métis Council, and Brampton Library, all working together to lead the implementation phase of the charter. We also have an evaluation team that's working actively with us to come up with, how are we meeting our objectives and actually working collaboratively and collectively, as well as to develop an assessment tool that we're actively working on to help organizations monitor, self-reflect on their progress as far as diversity, equity, and inclusion is concerned.
And with the charter, I think recognizing that we have very many organizations within the region and very many residents within the region aware of it, it still is an ongoing process. It still needs to continue to build momentum, and it can never end. It always has a next step in front of it where it needs to shift and change. So this is a dynamic document. It is a living document. We want to continue to build it to the reality of our city. In this instance, what is Mississauga's reality today? What are some of the emerging issues, and how do we respond fairly and equitably to engage all of its residents? That is where this charter is located. So our outreach continues to be ongoing, and that is why we are here today to invite, go ahead, Amrita.
Of course, invite the City of Mississauga to extend its existing commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion by endorsing the Diversity and Inclusion Charter of Peel. So, as the slide notes, this endorsement is consistent with an existing commitment that the City of Mississauga has already made, and that it is proactive around, and that includes, the established Diversity and Inclusion Advisory Committee, but also some of the steps that the City of Mississauga is actively taking at present to become a WHO designated age-friendly city. So that's all part of this larger mandate to become a diverse, equitable, and inclusive city that values these core principles. So, in effect, what we're inviting you to do is not inconsistent with some of the things that you've already started to do as a leader, as Canada's sixth largest city. Yeah.
What we are asking today is for you to endorse it. And Madam Chair, if we may leave it in your hands to go through the process of how you might endorse it, or what the next steps might be.
Okay, thank you very much for the presentation, and we do have some speakers and perhaps some questions through those or comments.
We'll be happy to answer that.
Councillor McFadden.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, thank you very much to both of you for coming today, and I really appreciate the fact that you're coming before us and giving us some information about your charter. I'm sorry we weren't there at the day that you launched it, but it's hard to be there when it's a council day.
Exactly.
On a Wednesday or a Thursday, it's very difficult. So maybe in the future, if you have any other events, you can try and plan it around days that we would love to come. Certainly members of the committee, myself, Mayor Crombie, and Councillor Starr. And as the chair of our Diversity and Inclusion Committee, I would welcome the opportunity for you both to come and speak to our Diversity Committee and explain this charter to them. And I don't want us working individually. I want us to work together.
Collectively.
I think we've taken a huge step, and I thank the Mayor for putting this committee forward, because it is important. But we don't want to reinvent the wheel either.
No.
So I would love it if you would speak to any of us, certainly myself or the clerk that is responsible for that committee. Come and see us. Come and talk to our committee, explain what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Because if we're all going in different directions, it's not going to work.
No.
So let's collaborate and make sure that we're all working for the same cause.
Absolutely.
We're going to be running some workshops for our new committee, and I would be more than happy to put you on the agenda to speak to us.
Councillor McFadden, we couldn't have asked for more. Absolutely, we'll be happy and delighted to come work together. And some of the members I already work with outside in the community, but I'll be very happy to come work very formally and very collaboratively to move the work forward and for our city to benefit as a whole. Absolutely. Thank you so much.
And as a new committee, I think you can offer a lot to us, because you've gone through a lot of these steps and processes already that we need help on, because this is brand new. So thank you very much, and I'm sure that we'd be more than happy to endorse your charter.
Thank you. We'll be more than delighted to partner on this one.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor McFadden. So at the appropriate time, you will move
Yes, I will.
the deputation and the endorsement, and also the opportunity for the invitation to come and speak at
Yes,
the
I will.
committee.
More than
Okay,
happy
thank
to
you.
do that.
Thank you. Mayor Crombie.
Varsha, so nice to see you. And Rita,
Likewise.
thank you for coming forward. You know you're here speaking to the choir. We understand you very, very well, and that's why we have the blessing of the council. We work together to create the Diversity and Inclusion Committee. Of course, Councillor McFadden is chair. Councillor Starr is our vice chair. We've done some significant work, but there's so much more to do. And your 12-point charter, of course, served as the inspiration. Of course, I've read it. And when you look at our terms of reference, you will see similar wording as that came from your charter. So we're very familiar with it. Councillor McFadden has done the right thing, sending it back to DIAC so that you can make the presentation there and they can make the endorsement recommendation back to council. So I think that's the right way to do it. So, you know, I have to tell you, in the past we suffered from not enough people signing up for some of our committees. Often it was tough to find a few people to sit on a 10-person committee. With DIAC, we had over 160 applicants.
Wow.
Can
I
you
did
imagine?
hear that.
160 applicants. We interviewed, 50 or 60 of them? And we had to expand the committee because we found such incredible people that wanted to give back, that wanted to share their views. So we have a 20-person committee on DIAC. Councillor McFadden is finding interesting ways to manage us. We're going to have I think, a roundtable facilitation at our next meeting. And we have 4 stakeholders who work in diversity and inclusion that are contributing members as well. And I'll also share with you that I know that our extended leadership team is doing a facilitation on diversity at their next offsite as well. So this is a city committed to diversity and inclusion to make all our residents feel included, and that we want to move forward along with you. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Mayor Crombie.
So I had brought a plaque for you to sign, but if you're going to hold off on the endorsement, what would you like me to do? Come back with, okay.
Councillor McFadden.
Thank you. You could certainly bring that back when you make the presentation to DIAC. And I think that they would really want to be involved in the presentation and the inclusiveness of the regional roundtable. So I'll make sure that the clerk and yourselves are in touch, and we'll make arrangements for you to come.
Thank you.
Thank you
We
very
will.
much, and I'll move the presentation.
Thank you both for being here. Thank you for your energy and enthusiasm and commitment. I see you out in the community all the time, so thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Fonseca. Have a lovely day.
So moved by Councillor McFadden. All in favor? Carried. Thank you.